Good afternoon everybody, and welcome to another unboxing. It's a beautiful day outside, but I'm in here making you a nice video. So I've got the box here, hope you can see that, and this one, oh what a surprise, it's from Wiggle. I wonder what can be in this box. Do you think it's anything cycling related? Let's open the box and find out. Packed quite tightly. There we are. I'm opening the box, and there's a piece of paper. You see that piece of paper? And oh, look at this! It's a packet of Haribos. Last thing I bought from Wiggle, they didn't have any Haribos, and I felt a bit cheated. I don't eat these, by the way. I put them in the cupboard, and after I've got about 10 packets, then I throw them away. But I like to add up the packets first till there's a nice round number. Anyway, let's see what else is in the box. Can you see that? Oh, it's a cap. Look at that. It's a cap. And on the cap, let's get rid of that box. On the cap, it says L'Enfer du Nord. Can you see that? And on the back of the brim, it says PR. Not a political statement. It doesn't stand for proportional representation. It stands for Paris-Roubaix. And L'Enfer du Nord, as I'm sure you know, is the Hell of the North in French, which is what Paris-Roubaix is known as. Just a small point, you might think that it's called Hell of the North because of the terrible cobbles that people have to cycle across, but in fact it isn't. It's called the Hell of the North because it takes place across an area of countryside that was decimated during the First World War. So it's the damage, the what do you call it, the shell holes, the bad countryside. That's really where the phrase Hell of the North comes from. But Hell of the North as a description of the Paris-Roubaix cycle race is a pretty accurate description. Now, it's got a label on it, so I'll just take the label off so I can try it on. There we are, just taking the label off. That's it. And I'll just put the cap on. There we are. Isn't that nice? Now, if you watched my last unboxing video, you'll notice that I unboxed another cap, also by Craft, which was about Liège-Bastogne-Liège and had La Doyenne written on the front. This cap, which I wanted at the time, was actually out of stock, but I got an email from Wiggle just recently who said they'd got some back in stock, and so I've ordered it, and here it is. And I do think these are a very nice collection of caps. Now, the Paris-Roubaix race, as I'm sure you know, takes place in the north of France. It doesn't actually start in Paris, or Paris, as Sean Kelly calls it, but the rest of us call it Paris. It doesn't actually start in Paris, it starts just north of Paris, and Roubaix is it's an industrial town actually, it's not the most beautiful place. Anyway, it covers a number of sections of old farm tracks which have been cobbled over the years, and although there is some desire to cobble over, or rather to tarmac over those cobbled roads, and so they can be used by normal cars. In fact, there is a very strong group of people who make sure that those cobbles stay as they are, and so they can be used in the race. Now, the sections of cobbles that are covered in the race do tend to vary a bit from year to year as they change the route. Although there are a couple of sections which appear pretty regularly, one of which is known as the Truy d'Arenberg, or the Arenberg Trench, as it's known in English, which basically cuts through a forest for about 2 or 3 kilometres, and is a brutal section of cobble. Another of the famous sections is called the Carrefour de l'Arbre, which is quite a long section. It's about 4K or so. And the thing about cycling on the cobbles of Paris-Roubaix is on a bicycle is that they are brutal. They are big cobbles, they are sharp, they are rough-edged, there are big gaps between them. And so you literally can take your life in your hands when you cycle across them. I did the Sportive a few years ago with the Old Portland Cycling Club, wonderful club if you're looking at joining a cycling club. And a group of us went out, we stayed in Roubaix, not a beautiful city as I said. Actually we stayed at Tourcoing, which is just to the north of Roubaix, sort of like a suburb. So we cycled down to Roubaix, did the event. It was a pretty shitty weather, if I'm honest. It was cold, it was rainy, it was pretty damp, just as Paris-Roubaix ought to be. Now, you may know the Paris-Roubaix race either because you're interested in cycling or because you've seen it on the television, or perhaps you've heard about a very famous film here which is called A Sunday in Hell, which was made about the 1976 Paris-Roubaix race and is not only just one of the best, if not the best, cycling documentaries ever made, it is a brilliant documentary and I can recommend that you get it. Even if you're not interested in cycling, it is interesting, it is lyrical, it is beautifully filmed, and it gives a real flavour of not only what the race was like, but also of what cycling in general was like for professionals in 1976. So highly recommended. Also recommended is this book called Sunday in Hell by William Fotheringham, very well known and very excellent cycling writer, and he produced this book just a month or so ago. Actually, it's only just come out, but it is an analysis and an investigation of this film, and he interviews all of the key characters. A couple of them are no longer alive, but he interviews all of the living key characters and describes the thinking behind the film, why it was made, how it was made, who made it, the people who did the music, the people who did the photography, all the people involved. And it is a fascinating book. It's a good idea to watch the film first and then read the book, or watch the film, read the book, and perhaps read the book while you're watching the film again. So both of these highly recommended. So back to the cap. I now have I'll take it off so you can see it better. I now have the L'Enfer du Nord Paris-Roubaix cap. I have the Liège-Bastogne-Liège La Doyenne cap. And I also have the Tour of Flanders cap. They do a fourth one, which is Milan-San Remo, and I'd like to buy that cap, and I'd like to do the Sportive. And with any luck, I'll be doing that next year. Now, if you enjoy these videos, click down below and subscribe. If you like it and you want to give me a thumbs up, give me a thumbs up. If you want to give me a thumbs down because you don't like it, well, don't do that. If you want to ask me any questions at all, they could be cycling related, they could be to do with other things. And if you want to tell your friends about it, or you want to watch any of my other videos, please do. See you next time.